This is the Fox 5 News Block.
Ahead on the news block, a last-ditch effort to stop congestion pricing in court today. The clock ticking down to the start of the controversial plan. And former Mayor Rudy Giuliani faces contempt of court hearing as lawyers claim he's defied orders to turn over assets in a defamation case linked to the 2020 election. Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Formoso. Welcome to the news block. Happening at this moment, New Jersey is taking one last shot to stop congestion pricing from taking effect on Sunday. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley has more details from the newsroom. Sharon.
Yeah, Jess, all eyes on this court ruling. A federal judge is set to hear arguments right now on a request for a temporary restraining order. New Jersey leaders are concerned about the environmental impact of the tolling plan, not to mention how it could change traffic patterns dramatically. Now, congestion pricing will cost an estimated $9 a trip into the central business district below 60th Street in Manhattan. And while drivers heading through a Port Authority crossing will also have to pay an additional $16 to factor into their toll. Now, the crossing credit looks like the daily bill will hover around $22 a day, not accounting for gas. Now, the alternative, of course, is that New Jersey residents could take New Jersey Transit. And that, of course, has struggled with delays and service issues.
And so the goal is to both get congestion pricing implemented, see its effects, and also address the service and reliability issues on NJ Transit separately.
So if the hearing does not go New Jersey's way, congestion pricing will take effect this Sunday. We'll have much more coming up for you on the 5 o'clock news. Jess?
And for Mayor Rudy Giuliani appearing in Manhattan court today as a judge decides whether to hold him in contempt of court. The filing to return over some of his assets and valuables as part of a nearly $100 million defamation judgment. That defamation suit stems from the 2020 election and the former Georgia election workers Giuliani was found to have defamed. Attorneys for the two women say Giuliani has defied 3 court orders to hand over the valuable possessions to pay off the nearly $150 million judgment, and that he should be sanctioned for that. Those assets include a signed Joe DiMaggio Yankees jersey, 4 Yankee World Series rings, paperwork for a vintage Mercedes convertible, high-end watches that he said he owned when he filed for bankruptcy that is, last year, and a Manhattan co-op apartment. Giuliani said this morning on his way into court he's not necessarily optimistic about this situation.
You don't want my thoughts on how things are going to go. Look at the record we've had in front of this judge. We haven't won a thing yet. People might question that. In this case, we have not won a single, even tiny motion. Does that raise a question about it?
Giuliani is still fighting the judgment against him and maintains none of his comments were defamatory. And now let's take a look outside. Audrey Puente is here with more. Audrey, I just have one word: cold.
That is going to be the word of the week, definitely for the weekend and next week, Jessica. We are anticipating cold weather to stick around for the near future here. Temperatures are in the 30s across the tri-state area. We're holding on to 38 in Islip as well as Bridgeport, East Hampton, New York City, 39 in Newark, and we're colder still, though, off to the northwest where Monticello is checking in at 28 degrees. The winds are definitely a factor right now. They're sustained between, let's say, 10 to 15 miles per hour on average. Gusts are as high as 23 in Bridgeport, 26 in Newark. And when we factor that in with the current temperatures, the wind chills are making it feel below the freezing mark all across the tri-state area. We have a wind chill of 28 in White Plains, feeling like 28 also in Poughkeepsie. Monticello checking in at 18 degrees for the real field temperature right now. So we have some cloud cover off to the north here. They're coming in associated with some snow showers that are coming downwind of the Great Lakes. For the most part, we're seeing a mixed sky across the tri-state area, but we are anticipating snow to come into the region here. Most of it will be south across central and southern New Jersey with an area of low pressure that will be passing through the mid-Atlantic. We're on the northern fringe of it. The cold air is in place, so the precipitation that falls will be in the form of snow in the places that I just mentioned, mainly south of the city. Not to rule out the chance of a few flakes here in the 5 boroughs, but most of the action will be happening across central and southern New Jersey here. We're going with mostly cloudy skies tonight. Temperatures will be pretty chilly. We're dropping down into the 20s by tomorrow morning. Coming up, there's another system that'll be affecting us as we go into Monday. This could bring significant snowfall across the region. The details coming up. Jessica?
Oh, we got to bundle up, Audrey. Thank you. A 24-year-old woman is facing murder charges after police say she stabbed a postal worker to death inside a bodega. 24-year-old Gia Cruz is set to appear before a judge today. She is accused of attacking 36-year-old Ray Hodges inside a bodega in Harlem yesterday. Hodges, an on-duty postal worker, was found with multiple stab wounds. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say the attack stemmed from a dispute over their places in line at the deli. The United States Postal Inspection Service released a statement saying it's working closely with the NYPD throughout the investigation. And authorities don't believe there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion of the Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Investigators identified the driver as 37-year-old Matthew Lesberg, a highly decorated U.S. Army soldier. They say he shot himself in the head right before the truck burst into flames. He was approved on leave at the time. His IDs, 2 guns, and fireworks were found inside the truck. Officials say he likely intended to cause more damage, but the steel exterior of the vehicle helped contain the explosion. Authorities are still looking to determine a motive. And the city of New Orleans still working to recover from this week's deadly terrorist attack. Surveillance video shows the terrifying moment a truck barreled through the French Quarter early on New Year's Day. The driver was killed in a shootout with police. The FBI continues to probe possible motives for the attack, although law enforcement say it appears the Army vet was inspired by ISIS. At least 14 people died. Dozens of others were injured. Bourbon Street has reopened since the attack with heightened security. Investigators are now discovering more about the man behind the deadly terror attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day, which left at least 14 dead and dozens of others wounded. Fox 5 multimedia reporter Caroline Elliott has more.
The FBI says the suspect behind the deadly New Orleans attack acted alone and pledged his support for ISIS on social media. Investigators are combing through hours of surveillance video and more than 400 tips as they search for motive in that deadly New Year's attack along Bourbon Street. The suspect's half-brother telling Fox News he blames radicalization, saying he did not see any signs ahead of time.
Maybe someone got a hold to him in his time of discovery and in his time of him trying to seek out what his purpose was.
Authorities say they recovered bomb-making materials inside the suspect's Houston home, and the FBI is currently reviewing social media videos that suggest the U.S. Army veteran originally intended to harm his family.
It's chilling, it's shocking, it's heartbreaking.
New Orleans officials now facing questions about security gaps. We will warn you, this disturbing surveillance video shows the suspect steering around a police blockade before plowing a pickup truck into the crowd. More than a dozen people were killed, including Barton Besh, also known as Tiger, a former college football player.
He really just took advantage of every opportunity he was in and enjoyed life to the fullest. He enjoyed people to the fullest.
And memorials like this one are now popping up across New Orleans as the city begins to focus on recovery. In New Orleans, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
The U.S. Surgeon General wants alcohol beverages to carry a cancer warning label just like packs of cigarettes. According to the report released by the U.S. Surgeon General, alcohol is linked to at least 7 cancers, including breast cancer. The report found that alcohol is responsible for 100,000 cancers and 20,000 related deaths in the country each year. But getting a label onto the product isn't up to him. It requires an act of Congress to make that happen. JetBlue is facing a $2 million fine from the Department of Transportation. The DOT says the airline has been using unrealistic scheduling, with the result that it's had multiple routes by chronologically delayed. A flight is considered chronologically delayed if it's flown at least 10 minutes a month and comes in more than 30 minutes late half of the time. JetBlue may not be the only one to face the penalty. The DOT says it's investigating other airlines. Apple has settled a lawsuit that caused it of users the private recording with advertisers. The class action lawsuit claimed the company's voice-activated Siri app recorded conversations after it was unintentionally activated. Plaintiffs allege that Apple then used those recordings to direct targeted ads to users. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle the case. Class members class members will be eligible to receive up to $20 for every Siri-enabled device they own. A judge still has to sign off on the settlement. And let's take a look outside. Let's bring in Audrey Puente. Audrey, it is cold and it looks like it's just going to keep getting colder?
Well, it's going to stay cold for quite some time, Jessica. And then now we're going to throw some snow into the mix, too. We have an area of low pressure that is increasing the cloud cover across the region right now. Snow isn't too far behind. A lot of it is off towards our west. We have lake effect snow showers plaguing upstate New York. There's snow moving across Pennsylvania and even into parts of New Jersey. Let's say south of 195, we're starting to see a few flakes fly there. There's a high pressure center that'll be coming in behind this system tonight, so that'll give us a quiet weekend. But another snowmaker is making its way into the Pacific Northwest, and this one could bring more widespread snow across the region by Monday. So here it plays out on our future cast. We'll see the clouds thickening up. Again, the snow mainly south of the city. It'll probably clip portions of Manhattan, Brooklyn, and as well as over towards Staten Island. But I think areas to the north won't see any snow. It'll be mainly clear skies for the Hudson Valley and probably most of Connecticut, too. Snow will quickly move out later on tonight, and then tomorrow we'll wake up with some sunshine across the region. It will be cold, though, so brace yourselves for a very chilly weekend. The winds will also be a bit brisk, so we want to be bundled up. And as we go through the afternoon hours of Saturday, we'll see plenty of sunshine until it sets late in the evening. Overnight, it'll be clear. That'll allow our temperatures to drop significantly. And then as we go into Sunday, more of the same. We'll start out with plenty of sunshine, but now we're going to see some clouds starting to creep into the picture here late in the day on Sunday. They're coming in advance of this snowmaker that'll be making its impact here starting overnight Sunday into Monday. And this one will bring several inches of snowfall, especially across New Jersey by the time we end the day on Monday. So in the meantime today, all right, we're expecting mainly dry conditions for most of us. The exception will be areas to the south. We're expecting highs today mostly in the upper 30s to about 40 degrees, 41 possibly in Islip and 40 out towards East Hampton. Tonight will drop off below freezing across much of the region, so any wet surfaces, they'll refreeze overnight tonight. So watch out for some black ice, especially tomorrow morning. And then we stay cold for the next several days. The weekend will be dry, but it will be cold. And then we're looking for snow to start off next week. Jessica?
Audrey, we've been spoiled, and after all, it is winter, right?
That's true.
Thank you. That's your news block for now. I'm Jessica Formoso. Thanks for joining us. Tune in to the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on Fox Local for all the day's news as it develops. We'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.